Hi, Grandma Debbie here. So I really like a low country boil. I don't particularly care for clams or any of those things, but I do like the shrimp that goes in it. And I'm always looking for an easier recipe other than having to stand outside in the heat in a big old pot trying to make this low country boil. So I found a slow cooker country boil. It's called a shrimp boil, actually, is what they're calling it. But I always refer to it as a low country. I don't know. So we're going to go with shrimp though for this one. All right, well, we're going to get started. It takes roughly, I'm doing on the low. I like low and slow when it comes to this kind of stuff. Don't know why. Didn't really matter. So this recipe that I'm doing is from All Recipe. You can do it, I guess it's their quick version where you do it on high and it'll only take about 4 hours, but I'm doing it on low, so it's going to take about 6 to 7 hours to do. So we're going to get started, and I'm going to bring you along with me. The recipe is identical to what I generally do when I'm outside with a big old pot. The only difference that I noticed is that this doesn't have any artichokes, which is fine because artichokes, I didn't see any at the grocery store, and I haven't seen any for a while. So I'm going to presume they're not in season. All right, well, we're going to get going, and I'm bringing you along. So let's get going on this. Okay, so the first thing we're going to do is, forgot to grab my onion. We're going to grab our onion, and we're going to slice it into quarters. Well, maybe more than quarters. I'm going to just do some wedges. And I'm going to toss it into my crock pot. All right, let me get this cleaned up. Now, it said to get the little baby red potatoes. I didn't get that. I just have my regular potatoes. So I'm just going to kind of quarter them. And it calls for 2 pounds. I'm guesstimating that this is 2 pounds. Whoops. All right, so we got that done. And now we're going to sprinkle, we're going to add some salt and pepper, and this is just to taste. So whatever you think you're going to need, add about that much. All right, let's bring this a little closer. Okay, and now, oh, and I need to do the garlic. And it calls for 8 cloves of garlic. You know what? I do have fresh garlic. Instead of minced, I'll just use these. Move this out of the way. Okay, so here's the last 2 that need to go in. All right, so now that we've got in our potatoes, an onion, and garlic, and our salt and pepper, we're going to do a lemon half. And all I'm trying to do is, let me show you what I'm doing. I'm just kind of squishing it down a little bit. You can also put it in the microwave for a few minutes, but since I'm not really going to be, I'm going to be tossing the whole the whole lemon in there eventually. You just kind of want to get a little juice prior. So let me grab my juicer as well. All right. All right, so I'm just going to toss this in there. All right, so we got that done. And then we're going to add in 3 tablespoons. It calls for Old Bay seasoning. However, we switched a while back to Slap Ya Mama. We found that we like the flavor better. Well, I should have probably bought some more. I don't know if I'm going to have enough. Well, I'm going to use what I can. Okay. All right, so we got that in there. And then we're going to add in hot sauce. We're adding in 2 tablespoons of hot sauce. And I'm just using this brand, but use whatever brand you happen to have or like. Oops. All right, and then we're going to add in, I don't know. And then we're going to add in 1 tablespoon of Worcestershire sauce. And I'm just using this brand. And then we're adding in 3/4 cup of water. And we're going to add in, I don't remember how many, 2 bay leaves. And first we're going to stir. So you just want to stir this up just to get it kind of combined a little bit. All right, got that going. Then we're going to add in 2 bay leaves. Turn it on low, and we're going to let it cook for 2.5 hours. I'm going to put the top on here. Oops. So I'll bring you back in 2.5 hours. Okay, so it's been 2 hours, and we're needing to start the next phase. All right, so we're going to take this lid off. Whew. And then we're going to fish out the lemons. I'm going to kind of do a quick little stir of all this. I'm going to fish out the bay leaves as well. It doesn't say to, but I always get so nervous that the bay leaves are going to get stuck in there and somebody's going to end up with a bay leaf. Okay. All right, so now what we're going to do is we're going to add in the corn. Now, the recipe calls for, what does it call for? It calls for, I don't know, 2 to 3 medium ears of corn cut into 2-inch rounds. I'm using frozen corn, and so I'm just going to dump in the frozen corn that I have. And I'm using frozen corn on the cob. Whoa! Can you see that? I'm just making a huge mess. Okay, and then I'm going to move this over a little bit. And we're going to use smoked sausage. We're going to cut it into chunks. We're going to cut the sausage into 1-inch pieces. Or give or take 1 inch. All right, I'm going to dump this in here. And now we're going to add in a cube of butter. I'm not sure if I like this new butter that Costco has. It's the long one. I'm not sure if I like it. The jury's still out on it for me. Never wants to come out. Okay. Heck with it. All right, let me wash my hands. All right, I'm going to go ahead and stir this up a little bit. Then I'm going to get the lid back on it. And we're going to let it sit for 4 hours, cooking on low, or until the potatoes are softened. All right, so I'll bring you back in a couple hours. Okay, so it's been 4 hours later. I did check on the potatoes earlier. They're doing awesome. So I'm going to kind of stir stuff up in here a little bit. It smells absolutely delicious. The potatoes are softened. So now we're going to add the shrimp. So it says to add 2 pounds of shrimp. I'm only adding about a pound because it's just the 2 of us. And I am adding them slightly frozen because I didn't thaw them out. And I think that they'll be just fine going in frozen. So we're going to add the shrimp. I'm going to kind of stir it around a little bit. Now these I think are larger than what you're supposed to add, but that's okay. It'll work. All right, and then we're going to add half of a cup of butter. So, which is just half the stick. All right, and then we're going to continue cooking this for an additional 30 minutes or until the shrimp is cooked through. But it smells wonderful. I'm looking forward to eating it. I did realize that I did not buy crusty bread, so we're going to have to just go without, because I usually like to serve any kind of a boil with crusty bread, but that's okay. We'll make do. All right, so I'm going to bring you back when it's done and show you what it looks like. Okay, so it's been about a half hour since I put the shrimp in. And as you can tell, it's looking really good. Everything is all coming together. The shrimp looks wonderful. So I'm sure it's going to, oops, I'm getting splattered with juice. So I'm sure it's going to taste good. So I'm just going to turn it to warm, leave it on until it's time to eat. All right. I wish I'd have remembered crusty bread, but I didn't. So, oh well, it is what it is. But it does look delicious, and I hope you try it. So I just want to thank you for coming along with me on this journey. It's been fun. I hope you try this recipe. You can add in additional things if you want. You could do multiple crock pots if you need to, so you can feed more than just 2 people. We're going to have leftovers. I know we're going to have leftovers because there's a ton there, and we're only 2 people, so I know we're going to have leftovers. But I think this way keeps me from sweating to death outside because it's really hot. But however, I usually do the other one in the fall. So I may go ahead and do our old recipe that we've used for many years and see what the difference is, what I think about it. But I'll probably do it in the fall or whenever I see artichokes on sale. So is probably when I'm going to try it. But like I said, give this recipe a try. You can serve it with crusty bread, of which I forgot to purchase. You can serve it with maybe some rice if you want. However you want to serve it is how you want it. You can do it. It's completely up to you. You can add different seafood as well if you want to. You could go ahead and add some clams in there if you want to. That's completely up to you. Just make changes and do whatever you want to do with it. It's super simple. You can also do multiple crock pots. If you need to feed a crowd, you can do multiple crock pots, and that way you can feed the crowd. It's up to you. So give it some thought and think about what you want to do, and just give it a try. Like I said, I did make a few changes to this. But once again, a recipe is just a guide. Make it your own. All right. Well, I hope that you're having an amazing day and everything's going great, and that once again, you give this recipe a try. Hit that like, hit the share, and hit the subscribe button, and I will talk to you soon. Bye.